Knicks fans were just hit with some devastating news, and Chris and I are here to break it down. What's up, guys? It's your boy Dariel and Chris from Knicks Digest, and Chris and I are here to break down the devastating tweet that Shams had reported. If you take a look here, the tweet, or the X, or whatever you want to call it, Knicks say Mitchell Robinson will have left ankle surgery this week and will be reevaluated in 8 to 10 weeks. Chris, what happened?
I have no idea. I do not know what happened. So first of all, I missed the Celtics game. I didn't see it, so I can't tell you if he got injured then. But as we were talking about before we even started filming, there was clearly some issue with Mitchell Robinson's ankle that we've heard about, which makes me think this is some sort of stress-related injury, like maybe a stress fracture, some sort of stress injury on his ankle. He's been jumping a lot this season, but I mean, it just is awful. He's been one of the most important players on the team, arguably the team's most important player. Quentin Grimes said that before the season even started that he's the team's most important player. And now they're without him for probably 3 months, which realistically means the soonest that we're going to see Mitchell Robinson back will be March, which is 2 months before the playoffs, which means he'll have to get back into a groove quickly, and the Knicks are going to have to hold it down for 3 months without their best defender and best rebounder. This is terrible. This is really terrible in a season that's been very weird for the Knicks so far.
Nah, it's this. It was rough to see that tweet, man. Because Mitchell Robinson, like you said, he might be the most important player this season. But I think one thing you can undoubtedly say is that he's had the best season on the Knicks so far. Randall started off struggling a lot. Brunson, he's been coming on strong, but he's still trying to find his like groove. And Mitchell Robinson has been like out the bat, been like an offensive rebound king this season. And we were talking a little earlier, and I think there have been reports here and there that Mitchell Robinson has been complaining about his ankle since the beginning of the season. I think I've seen reports that's like ankle soreness, stuff like that. And I don't know. I guess he was complaining about his ankle. They did like a precaution MRI or an X-ray or something, and they found something. And I guess this is where we get the report from Shams. So yeah, man, it's gonna be a rough couple months for the Knicks. But what I do want to highlight, the bench bigs. So we
Mm-hmm.
got Isaiah Hartenstein and we got Jericho Sims. Obviously, Jericho Sims is going to be behind Isaiah Hartenstein. What are your feelings towards Hartenstein being the starting center now?
I think he's a starting level center in the NBA. A few weeks back, we did a post-game video where I said that Isaiah Hartenstein is going to get paid this offseason and the Knicks are going to lose him. Well, now it's his chance. He's going to get a chance to prove to the entire NBA world that he is an NBA starting level center on a team that is expected to go to the playoffs and that is expected to win in the first round of the playoffs. So this is a huge moment for Hartenstein, and it really matters for the Knicks because he is a different player than Mitchell Robinson. He's going to add a little more spacing because he's a high post playmaker. He is a good defender. Is he Mitchell Robinson? No. He's a good rebounder. Is he Mitchell Robinson? No, but he does have his positives that Mitch doesn't have, such as that playmaking in the high post, such as the ability to space the floor a little bit. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how Isaiah Hartenstein does now against starting level centers because there's really two options here. He either balls out, plays really well, gets way more minutes in the playoffs than any of us expected when he's going to be closing out games for sure, as long as he's good. And then he's going to get paid by a different team that's in desperate need of a center, whatever team that will be in 6 months from now, and leave the New York Knicks because he's going to get over $10 million. Or he's going to show that he's not a starting level center for the NBA. The Knicks are going to be in huge trouble. They're going to fall potentially below 500, be in a dangerous threat of missing the playoffs, and there will be a serious problem at their hands. I don't think the second one's going to happen. I'm going to err on the side that Isaiah Hartenstein is as good as we've seen. I mean, the man was playing against starting level bigs in the playoffs all season last year. So I'm so devastated. I love Mitchell Robinson. He's so fun to watch. But the Knicks just lost their starter in their deepest position. You have three centers on the New York Knicks who deserve minutes, Jericho Sims being the worst of the three. And he can easily be a backup center in the NBA, if you ask me. I'm excited to see both of these guys. And just a little bit about Jericho Sims is I think that now he gets a chance to go out there and show the Knicks that they don't need to pay someone else to be their backup center next season, that it's going to be him. And we're going to see if Jericho Sims is able to do that. So I'm super excited for that.
Me personally, I like the players on the Knicks. If you're a professional basketball player, I feel like one skill you should have is to put the ball in the bucket. I don't care if you could shoot. I don't care if you could put the ball on the floor. I don't care if it's a post up. I don't care if it's a mid range. But anyway, I want you to be able to put the ball in the bucket, and that's what Mitchell Robinson does not have the capability of doing. He needs
Yeah.
plays run for him, specifically alley oops, because you cannot throw the ball into the post and say, Mitchell Robinson, give me at least a bucket, give me at least a baby jump hook. He can't do that, and that's where Isaiah Hartenstein, like you said a little earlier, that's where that's where he differs from Mitchell Robinson. The playmaking, he has that little floater in the paint. He has a little bit of a post up game. So I am very interested to see how he takes this opportunity. Then he didn't start with the Clippers, right? He came off the bench behind Zubac.
Yeah, he was mainly off the bench for Zubac, but their
Okay.
minutes were basically the same, if I'm not mistaken. Everywhere he's gone, he's been a backup center that's gotten pretty good minutes. And we know he's a good player. It's not like we're wondering, is Isaiah Hartenstein gonna just ruin the Knicks because they don't have a starting level center? We know that at the very least, Hartenstein's gonna show that he is a lower level starting center in the NBA, which is fine. The Knicks are deep. They have good rebounding in Julius Randle. But this is where the problem of not having another backup power forward comes into play. The Knicks are now so thin at big man. They have three guys. Three. There are three people on this team who can realistically be a power forward center player. There's really one power forward in Julius Randle, and then Randle can play center in a pinch in some small ball lineups. No matter how you look at it, the Knicks need to go out and make some sort of trade for someone. They don't have to even be some great player. Even someone like PJ Tucker, who's just someone who can get minutes in the NBA still and add something. Because they're just, my big fear is how thin they are right now.
One thing I'm gonna keep my eye on, because one thing I've been seeing about Hartenstein is that whenever he gets in the game, he kind of has that Quentin Grimes effect, where like he looks to the sideline and then Thibodeau's kind of like throwing his hands up in the air in frustration, and then
Uh-huh.
I feel like Hartenstein, he looks at that and that affects him deeply. We know that that affects Grimes because he said it in a
Yeah.
quote. And I at this point, if you're gonna be a starting center, like yo, who cares about what your coach is doing? Just go out there and play. And I feel like some players on the Knicks, they just like they let Thibodeau's reactions affect them a little more than it needs to be. So that's just a small little nugget that I'm gonna keep my eyes on. Just Hartenstein, go out there and ball out, baby. Like we know you can.
Yeah, so Hartenstein's averaging 5 and 5 in 17 minutes this season, and also per 36 minutes, and he's going to be getting damn near 36 minutes per game. He's averaging 11 points and 11 rebounds per game. He's also averaging 1.3 blocks in those per 36. Obviously, we both know per 36 minutes can be a little wonky, and they're not the most reliable stat, but it is something to be aware of. It's not like the Knicks are going to trot out some guy who has no business starting in the NBA. They lost their starter at their deepest position. As much as point guard is just as deep as center, losing Jalen Brunson for 3 months, we wouldn't be just talking like, oh, this is a problem. We would be screaming and I'd throw my computer across the room. It would have been a much bigger problem. That's no offense to Mitchell Robinson. It's just the way the Knicks play, who Jalen Brunson is.
No, of
To
course.
lose him, it would have made things a lot more worrisome than losing Mitchell Robinson. And part of the reason is because we've seen the Knicks lose Mitchell Robinson basically every season at some point.
Right.
He's faced a lot of injuries in his career. I don't really think there's anyone to blame for that outside of just bad luck. It's one of those things that when you're a bouncy center who's 7'1" and weighs 245 pounds, you're just gonna get injured. And we know that. We're not Knicks fans going into the season thinking, oh, Mitch is gonna play like 75 games. We know that if Mitch plays 63 games, then that's a huge win on the year.
Definitely.
This is another season where we're gonna see Mitch play around 50 games. That's pretty standard for Mitch. And the one thing is, he always seems like he comes back from injuries and is back to the normal Mitch. He's rarely ever hesitant after his injuries. It's probably one of the reasons why he gets injured is because he plays with a reckless abandon that makes him as good as he is. So there's a give and take to it. And it does seem like there's almost no chance that Mitch won't be here for playoffs, and that is the most important thing. Hopefully, they can get him back around a month before so he can get
Yeah.
a groove going and just sort of get his energy back to where he wants to be and to get right back to being by far the best offensive rebounder that I've ever seen in my entire life.
But we actually did get word from Mitchell Robinson. So I took this from New York Post. New York Post posted something about Mitchell Robinson's Snapchat. Mitchell Robinson wrote, "Been battling stuff my whole life. Some days I feel like I take 10 steps ahead, and others feel like I took 10, 20 steps back. Even when I do what I'm supposed to, even when I do what I'm supposed to, God throws these battles at me that feel like they're unbeatable no matter what I do." Robinson wrote on Snapchat. So I mean, listen, man, he got injured. He just got the news that he's gonna get surgery, and like we've been talking about this whole video, he knows that he's having a really good start to the season. So those words are pretty much just discouragement, but he'll battle back. He'll bounce back, and like you said, he'll come back and he'll be back to his. Hopefully, he'll be back to his old self. But we have the confidence that he'll be back before playoffs, and that's when we need him most, because we don't know what the hell this season's gonna look like. But as long as we have our starting five healthy in the playoffs, then stuff can happen. We don't know
Anything's possible.
exactly. We don't know if they're gonna have the same postseason as last year, where they got to the second round. But the East, besides Boston, Milwaukee, maybe if you want to throw Philly in that conversation, besides those 2.5 teams, if you will, the East is kind of open. Even Milwaukee has problems. Yeah, they lost
They're not
to
perfect.
exactly. They lost to Milwaukee in the quarterfinals of the in-season tournament. Obviously, we're disappointed in that, but they have problems. Damon Giannis, they're still figuring each other out. Adrian Griffin, rookie coach, just like, and there's been reports that players on the Milwaukee Bucks have been like arguing with the coach. So like, they're still a mess. So like, Boston might be the only team where you could you could definitely say that they're the leaders in the East.
As much as it sucks that Mitch got hurt, there is some silver lining, and there will be something to look forward to while we root for Mitch to fully come back and be the best center on the New York Knicks, the best center in New York, and just one of the best centers in the NBA.
All right, guys. So that's it for me and Chris. If you're watching this, make sure to leave it in the comments. Let us know what you think about the Mitchell Robinson injury. Is this going to completely tank the season, or do you still think there's room for optimism? Let us know. But until next time, we'll catch you on the next video, guys. Peace.